With the Bulls, Hawks, Nets, and Raptors all taking a step back this offseason, the Charlotte Hornets should be all but guaranteed to secure at least a play-in spot in the top-heavy Eastern Conference. Out of the bottom half of the conference, they have the most continuity, the best bench, the best fitting roster, a coach that I'm optimistic about, and two young stars that have a chance to become one of the best duos in the league. They got everything you'd want out of an up-and-coming team, but there is still something holding them back, and it just so happens to be one of their cornerstones. So let's not get too negative too quickly, because for the first time since Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning were slapboxing each other in the locker room, I really like what the Hornets are doing. For those of you that don't know, a few months ago I was trying to start a series called How to Build a Championship Team. I stopped after one video because no one watched that shit, but what I was hoping to accomplish with this concept was to make a 3-part series laying out the easiest way to build a championship roster. Versatility. When the playoffs roll around and your opponent has watched every second of your regular season tape and has devised the perfect plan to stop what you do best, you need a roster that can throw an effective counterpunch at a moment's notice. I ain't trying to be Mike Tyson, I'm trying to be Floyd Mayweather. Real talk, outside looking in, I'd prefer being neither, but let's not look too far into the analogy. So what's the best way to create a versatile roster, I hear you asking? Well, based off my study of previous championship teams, here's the template. To have a versatile championship level roster, you need all 4 of these following player archetypes. 1, a number 1 option who is at least 6'6", a really good on-ball and off-ball shot creator, and is at least a B in every other aspect of basketball. 2, you need a second option who's an elite playmaker and a really good scorer on or off ball. Preferably this is your point guard and he's at least 6'3". 3, your third best player is an ultra athletic big who can be a really good rim protector and is okay when he has to switch in the pick and roll. Would like him to also have a decent post game too to take advantage of smaller players on the switch. And 4, last but not least, a roster littered with intelligent and versatile role players. The reason I feel or felt so strongly about this being the Charlotte Hornets breakout season was because they have every single one of these archetypes already on the roster. Let's start at the top. Brandon Miller has the potential to be the template, the physical representation of exactly what I think a number 1 option should look like. 6'9" shooting guard that's displayed the potential to develop in every key skill you'd want from your number 1 option. His scoring specifically is what gets me very excited, no diddy. It's beyond the numbers. I mean, we don't need to just skip over the numbers. 17 points per game on 55.2% true shooting is pretty good production for anyone, let alone a rookie. But again, the numbers aren't the reason I'm so high on Brandon Miller's sophomore season. It's how he puts up those numbers. Miller has the best balance of on-ball and off-ball scoring I've seen from a high-minute rookie in quite some time. Jaime Jaquez was pretty good, but he's not a top 2 scoring option on his team. I remember Malcolm Brogdon a few years ago had a really nice feel for the game, but still not a top 2 scoring option on his team. Brandon's quiet confidence, as far as my memory goes, is just unmatched from a rookie. When it's time to fit in, Brandon fits in. He's already a very solid off-ball scorer, good cutter, knows when to flare or curl off screens, and dangerous as anyone as the DHO ball handler. When it's time to score though, like motion everyone to the side and lay your nuts on the defender's forehead, he can do some damage as the pick and roll ball handler, again, at 6'9". Is he perfect? No, obviously not. He's a rookie. He could bulk up, add a little bit of post game. His isolation bag is a little bit lacking right now, passing vision, all that. If he wants to be a true bona fide first option, he's going to need to get better in these aspects of his game. But right now, the Hornets are just trying to make the play-in. Okay, not so sure about that. But even if Brandon Miller doesn't improve at all and just gets marginally better due to in-game experience, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for Brandon to have like 85% of Paolo Banchero's season last year, and that player is more than enough to lead the Hornets to the play-in game, provided he has a good supporting cast around him, and that he theoretically does. Let's go to a center. The third archetype I discussed earlier, Mark Williams, again, has the potential to be the physical representation of the exact type of number 3 I want on my championship team. Big, check. Athletic, check. Finishing ability, check. Can guard on the perimeter, check. My only problem with him, along with some other things that we'll discuss later, is he's a good, not great rim protector. Like, he's good with the rule of verticality, staying up straight, altering shots, but his actual shot blocking is a little bit lacking. I'm sure he'll improve though. He's got the athleticism and seems to have the intelligence for it. It's just not there yet, unlike the rest of his game. Again though, this is something I want out out of my big if I'm trying to win a championship. The Hornets are trying, maybe, to reach the playoffs, maybe even win a single playoff game. And there is no doubt in my mind that Mark Williams can be the third best player right now on a fringe playoff team, especially when the rest of the role players on the squad are so good. Out of all the tenets I laid out earlier, that fourth one is the one I am most confident in. The Hornets have a really good set of role players. I'm not saying this right now, but it's possible that by the end of the season, we're calling this set of role players the best in the conference. They are all just very good. I mean, we can go down the roster one by one. Miles Bridges, dumbass, dickhead. Strongly dislike him. But if we're limiting my opinion of him to his play on the court, I don't know how many teams in the East will have a better third scoring option than him. On top of Bridges though, they just traded for Josh Green, probably my favorite role player in the league, top 3 at worst, good defender, decent shooter, and in the conversation for biggest hustle neck in the league. Cody Martin, when he was last healthy, was a well above average 3-and-D player for the Hornets. We'll see how EuroLeague MVP Micic does with a full year of NBA basketball under his belt. He did look a lot better after he got traded to the Hornets from OKC though. Similar situation for Grant Williams. Nick Richards is solid. Maybe Seth Curry or Taj Gibson gives him something. And we can't forget the most important role player on the Hornets roster, Tre Mann. Now, Tre Mann is a very intriguing player on this roster. Last season, once he got traded to the Hornets from OKC and got some actual opportunity, he showed some Tyus Jones potential, which I'm really intrigued by. But this potential is not the reason I say Tre Mann is so important to this team. It's because of the role he will likely have to fill on the squad due to the fact that their number 2 option, their starting point guard, is probably gonna get injured. Yes, the title was like 30% clickbait. LaMelo Ball, when he plays, is not holding the Hornets back by any means. In fact, like I've said for Brandon Miller, Mark Williams, and the role players on the roster, LaMelo Ball has the chance to become the physical representation of the exact second option I want on this versatile championship roster. The exact one. Big guard so he can't get bullied by wings, check. Elite playmaker so he can handle the ball, check. Can score when the defense plays the pass, check. Can work off ball, a little more shaky, but I'll call it a check. If he becomes a good defender, he's one of the best second options in the league to me. Maybe 1A, 1B with Brandon Miller. The issue with him though is that he can rarely stay on the court long enough to show that value. In a recent video I made, I did a stat head search of every player who has only played 200 plus games over the first 5 years, something like that. And what I found was every player who has missed that many games in their career rarely have a significant stretch of healthy basketball ever. And if they do, it's as a role player with diminished responsibilities and physical wear. LaMelo has already crossed the Rubicon on this. Am I saying it's impossible for him to shake off the injuries and have a perennial all-star type career from here on out? No, in fact, I hope that's what happens. What I am saying though is that that type of recovery has never happened before. When you tie that in with his brother's inability to stay healthy, you get even more anxious for LaMelo. And when you tie that in with Mark Williams' inability to stay healthy, you start to get a little bit anxious for this iteration of the Hornets rebuild. Again, I really like the Hornets. My main hot take for the season is that if they stay healthy, Charlotte can reach the 6th seed and wholly avoid the play-in tournament altogether. But I can't in my right mind use the assumption of health with this team when they are probably the second most likely team in the East to suffer an injury to one of their main guys. I am very high on Tre Mann. I do think he'll be just good enough, and 9 through 15 in the East are just bad enough for the Hornets to make the play-in tournament even if LaMelo Ball gets injured. But unfortunately, I think injuries are going to hold back the Hornets from making an actual buzz this upcoming season. With that, thank you for watching the video all the way through. We greatly appreciate it. If you enjoyed this content, go ahead and like and subscribe. Comment down below what you think about the Hornets upcoming season. Share the video with a friend. And as always, stay sweaty, ladies and gentlemen. Peace. Also, thank you guys so much for 1,500 subscribers. We greatly enjoy making these videos, but it wouldn't mean nothing if you guys weren't here. So greatly appreciate it, and peace.